Welcome to Multicultural Musings, the show that looks at the quirky, the unusual, and the mundane in other cultures. Hi, I'm Michelle, your host. When one grows up hearing fairy tales, one assumes that children all around the world hear the same tales. And many are quite similar, like Rapunzel, Red Riding Hood, and Cinderella. But when you start exploring the literature of other nations, a whole host of new beloved authors and characters are revealed. Today we will explore German children's stories, and I'm privileged to have my guest Agnes Linker to guide us through some tales. Many years ago, Agnes introduced me to many traditional German tales and gave me this huge, thick book with around 200 German stories. When I sat down to read some of these tales to my children, I was horrified to discover that there were some really gruesome stories. Surprisingly, my children enjoyed many of them, and I realized that the kids are not always looking for the perfect world. This trend seems to be quite common in German literature, where there's no perfect Disney-like world. And this is really evident in the iconic stories of Struwwelpeter and Max and Moritz. Since the mid-19th century, they have been entrenched in German culture. Struwwelpeter is a collection of stories, all with a moral lesson. The cover of the book is an image of Struwwelpeter, which is the first story in the book. It's about a boy who abandons personal hygiene so his nails and hair grow out of control, with the result that he's not very popular. I will let Agnes tell you the story about the girl who played with matches.
I remember, for instance, one story of a little girl whose mama's going out and tells her, "Oh, Pauline, don't play with fire when I go out." But the little girl, she took the
Matches?
the matches, and then the whole house burned to the ground, and also this little girl burned.
And then there was the story of the boy who sucked his thumb.
Warning, Conrad, don't suck your thumb, because otherwise the tailor will come with the big scissors and he will cut your thumb. Okay, he's sucking his thumb, the tailor comes and he is cutting the two thumbs of the poor boy who's standing with the hands without
any thumbs.
So yeah, so these stories of Struwwelpeter are actually really cruel in the end. Mm-hmm. And exaggerated. But in the 19th century, it's been like this.
Max and Moritz tells the story of two mean boys and the pranks that they get up to, resulting in the end that they put in sacks and ground to meal. Agnes tells me that although Max and Moritz and Struwwelpeter are ingrained in German literature and culture, they are considered too negative today. Even Grimm's fairy tales are considered too harsh, but they mostly have a happy ending. There are many famous Grimm's fairy tales, but in Germany there are many lesser-known ones that are actually very popular, like Frau Holle, or Mother Holle, the lady who shakes her big duvet up in the heavens and the feathers come floating down, causing snow to fall on earth. And then there is the beautiful love story of Jorinde and Joringel. An evil witch lives in a forest, and when the two lovers, Jorinde and Joringel, venture too close to her castle walls, she turns Joringel to stone, and she captures Jorinde and puts her into a cage and turns her into a nightingale. Once she has caught the girl, she releases Joringel, and he wanders around the world heartbroken.
So he's going far away, working as a shepherd, and one night he's dreaming of a red flower with a pearl in it, and somehow in the dream he's been told that this is the only way to get his girl back. So he's wandering all over the world looking for that red flower, with the flower with a very red purple blossom, and he finds this blossom with dew in it, takes it, and it's going to that witch, and this flower exactly is fighting the magic of that witch. So in the end, he frees all those nightingales and also his girlfriend, and they live happily ever after.
Another of Agnes's favorite tales is the Grimm story Brüderchen and Schwesterchen, brother and sister. A brother and sister run away from home to get away from their evil stepmother, who also happens to be a witch. She realizes they've gone, and so she poisons or puts spells on all the springs in the forest. Well, the young boy is really thirsty and desperate to drink from a spring, and so
every time the little brother wants to drink something out of the spring says, "Don't drink out of me, you'll be a tiger or you'll be a big bear," or something like that. And the sister's always taking the brother, "Don't drink, you'll be a dangerous animal." But in the end, he's so thirsty that he's drinking at third spring and is becoming a deer. But the deer is not that dangerous for the for the little girl. So the little girl is taking her brother, who is a deer now, and they're living in the woods. And the prince of that country is one day coming and going for a hunt in the woods, and he's recognizing that girl in the woods who's calling for the deer. And he's coming back several times and always watching that beautiful girl, fell in love with her, and he took her to the castle. But in that castle, there's this bad queen, the witch, and she's recognizing that stepdaughter and tries to poison her again. In the meantime, they got married with the prince and they had a little boy, and everything was quite dangerous for the couple and the baby. But in the end, they survived, and the bad stepmother witch actually died, I think. Yeah. And also they lived happily ever after. And I had this book with very nice pictures in it. Maybe that's why I like this fairy tale most, because the deer was so cute and the girl was so pretty.
I agree with Agnes. I remember so many of my favorite children's fairy tales because of the beautiful illustrations. Well, that's all from the fairy tale land of Germany with its forests and castles and deer. In an upcoming show, we're going to be looking at Swedish fairy tales, so please join me for that. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed the show, please like, subscribe, and turn on bell notifications.